How's it going, guys out there? Hey, so I'm going to talk today about rigging an endless sling or a line to a hook. I'm going to talk about two things: the cat's paw and a Blackwell hitch. So they both have advantages. They both have disadvantages, and we're going to discuss that real quick. I'm not going to go into any of the braking strengths, any formulas, any of that lifting capacity of any of that kind of stuff for this instruction today. I'm just going to show you the difference between a Blackwell hitch and a cat's paw and talk about what the purposes they serve. So we use endless slings. I know you guys have different names for them, but basically your lifting straps. But there's different ways to attach them. So when you are attaching one of those to a hook, or you're attaching something to a hook, obviously we would prefer to have hooks that have a safety latch on it, or to mouse it. And we could talk about mousing later, but right now we'll just cover that. So I'm gonna use this piece of line right here just as a demonstration because it works out well. So we'll start out with a Blackwell hitch. When I'm making a Blackwell hitch, I'm gonna come over the back and across, right? And so when I have a Blackwell hitch, when it's taut, it's pretty secure, right? It's a good way to secure a line to a hook, and it's pretty fast. You can do that in a quick manner. The problem with the Blackwell hitch is it needs to be constantly taut. It needs to be tight. It needs to have that pressure on it. It can't have any jerky loads or anything like that, because if it's not moused and it doesn't have a latch, it can come off, and then I lose my load. So one really important thing when we're talking about Blackwell hitches, which we don't really use at the school very much, but it is something that I used in the Coast Guard for buoys. Blackwell hitches are great. The other problem with the Blackwell hitch is if you have an uneven load or something shifts, the whole thing can slide, right? It can slide back and forth. So I won't say that I've never used one, and I do like the Blackwell hitch, but it does have some problems. Okay, so, but again, if you're gonna make a Blackwell hitch, the way to do that would be to bring it around the back of the hook, underneath the eye, and then cross over. When it has tension on it, it's basically creating friction, and it is holding it tight, and it will not slip. Again, the problem with that is you have to be sure that you're constantly taut and that you don't have any uneven load that can shift. By the way, my stand here is totally like MacGyvered, so if this thing falls over on me, you'll all get a good laugh. Let's see here. I'll get something more permanent here. Go over a little bit for you. So we talked about the Blackwell hitch and the application of the Blackwell hitch. A cat's paw, very similar to when you're making a, if you've made a Spanish bowline or whatever, you're just gonna twist that line a minimum of 3 or 4 times, right? Make sure that you have, you're like that, and then you can slip it over your hook just like this, okay? Doesn't look very pretty, right? But the advantage of it is, and again, we would like to have a clip or mousing, but the advantage is if I spread the load, or if the load shifts on one side or the other, it's not going to slip. Also, unless I get a lot of jerking, I'm probably, as it tightens down and it gets tight on there, okay, as I get that tighten on there, it's gonna create more of a bite next to that, right? And so that's the cat's paw. Both of them have different applications, both different uses. The one that we teach here and out of the book and the Coast Guard talks about is the cat's paw. Again, I'm gonna make twists, right? And I'm gonna twist it, and then I'm gonna drop it on there. Again, if one side of the load shifts, right, pulls down on one side, it's not gonna slip like it would on a Blackwell hitch. It's gonna stay there. You do have less likely that it's gonna jump off the hook, although nothing is guaranteed in life, right? So mousing, also safety latches. Most hooks come with safety latches anyways. There are some out there that don't, but most of them do. You wanna make sure you have that in there. Again, the things we talk about today is a Blackwell hitch, okay? Again, just crosses over the back, crosses over either side on the front, and the legs split. Disadvantage, it can slide, your load can shift, or if you get a lot of jerk, it can come off. and then you've got problems. So you want to be careful with that, okay? And then the other one is the cat's paw. Again, we're just going to twist it, make some loops. Again, we're not talking today about braking strength. We're not talking about any of the safe working loads or any of that stuff. I'm just showing you the difference between these. It's going to depend on what your sling is rated for. You could be basketing, you could be choking, you could have a direct sling. There could be a lot of different ways to put slings on things, and this might not work for the application you're talking about. Today, I'm just covering these two ways to attach. There are other ways to do it. You may have never done a Blackwall hitch or a cat's paw before. Just depends on your company, safety, or if you even have a need for this. Part of the Coast Guard regulations is to know what a Blackwall hitch is, and it's also to know what a cat's paw is. And so that's the purpose of showing this today. So if you have questions about that, concerns, comments, something like that, you could definitely reach out to me and talk to me about it. But for the purposes of the students that are going to be watching this or studying this, that's the difference. Blackwall hitch and a cat's paw. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.